What happens when a force that once united begins to divide? In the early 1800s, nationalism meant freedom, the right of people to govern themselves. But by the late 19th century, that idea started to shift. Nationalism became more than pride, it became competition, aggression, and a belief in superiority. Across Europe, nations began using nationalism not just to unite their own people, but to justify dominating others. In this video, we'll uncover how nationalism turned narrow, sparked the Balkan crisis, and eventually helped ignite World War I. Because nationalism isn't always peaceful, sometimes it becomes a spark for war. At first, nationalism was a force of liberation. It helped people rise against empires and monarchs to fight for self-rule and shared identity. But as the 19th century moved on, something changed. Nationalism began to turn inward and exclusive. Instead of celebrating diversity, it demanded uniformity, one language, one religion, one culture as superior. In places like Germany, Italy, and Eastern Europe, this shift gave rise to ethnic tensions, intolerance, and the desire to suppress or eliminate minorities. What began as unity for all slowly twisted into the belief that our nation is better than yours. This wasn't nationalism as inclusion. It was nationalism as a weapon of dominance. If nationalism turned tense in Western Europe, in the Balkans, it turned explosive. The Balkans, a region in Southeast Europe, had long been under the rule of the Ottoman Empire. But by the late 1800s, the empire was weakening, and the Slavic people of the region began demanding independence. Serbs, Bulgarians, Greeks, Romanians each dreamed of building their own nation. But here's where it gets complicated. They weren't just seeking freedom from Ottoman rule, they also wanted each other's land. Add to this the ambitions of bigger powers, Russia backing the Slavs, Austria-Hungary trying to dominate the region. The result? A tangled web of alliances, rivalries, and territorial ambitions. Between 1905 and 1913, the region saw multiple wars, each one pushing Europe closer to collapse. The world began calling it the powder keg of Europe, a region so unstable, the tiniest spark could ignite a full-blown war. Nationalism didn't stop at uniting people within a country, it began reaching beyond borders. By the late 19th century, European powers believed that true greatness came from ruling over others. The idea was clear: if we are the strongest nation, we deserve to expand. And so began a new chapter, imperialism driven by nationalism. Countries like Britain, France, Germany, and others raced to colonize large parts of Asia and Africa. It wasn't just about trade or resources, it was about national pride, racial superiority, and the belief that their way of life was meant to dominate. The more land they grabbed, the more tensions rose. Germany versus Britain, France versus Austria, all alliances were tested, and new rivalries ignited. This wasn't just empire building. It was a contest of egos, powered by flags and fueled by fear. By the early 20th century, Europe was a continent on edge. Two massive alliance systems had formed: Triple Entente Britain, France, Russia. Triple Alliance Germany, Austria-Hungary, Italy. All it took was a spark. In 1914, a Serbian nationalist assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria in the city of Sarajevo. One bullet set off a chain reaction. What followed was First World War, a war fueled by imperial ambition, military alliances, and a dangerous, twisted form of nationalism. The cost? Millions of lives, empires crumbled, maps redrawn. Nationalism, once a force of freedom, had become a weapon of war. So what does history teach us? That nationalism at its best can bring people together, but at its worst, it can tear the world apart. Let's walk through the steps. Step 1. Nationalism began as a call for freedom and unity. Step 2. It shifted toward exclusion and superiority. Step 3. It justified imperialism and global competition. Step 4. And finally, it erupted into war. As citizens of today's world, we carry a choice. Do we use nationalism to build walls or to build bridges? True nationalism uplifts, it respects diversity, it fosters unity, and it protects peace. And history leaves us with this reminder. When pride turns into prejudice, peace becomes the first casualty.